Book of Heaven, Volume 2, page 95 to 100. September 21, 1899, Differences with Lady Obedience. The purpose of Luisa's state. Yet, who would have said it? In spite of the fact that the wrong is hers, and that she does not give me the capacity to manifest it, Miss Obedience took offense and began to act like a cruel tyrant, and she reached such cruelty as to take the sight of my loving good away from me, my sole and only comfort. It really shows that sometimes she also behaves like a little girl. When she has a whim for something, if she does not get it with good manners, she deafens the house with screams and with crying, to the point that one is forced to content her. There are no reasons, there is no way in the middle to persuade her. So Lady Obedience does. Brava, I would not have thought you were like this. Since she wants to get her own way, she wants me, even stammering, to write about charity. Oh, holy God! You yourself, make her a little bit more reasonable, because it really shows that one cannot go on in this way. And you, O Obedience, give me back my sweet Jesus, don't cut me to the quick any more. I pray you not to take the sight of my highest good away from me any more, and I promise you that, even stammering, I will write as you want. I only ask of you the good grace to let me recover for a few days, because my mind, too little, can no longer take being immersed in that vast ocean of divine charity, especially because in it I can see my miseries and my ugliness more, and in seeing the love that God has for me, I feel I am almost going mad, and so my weak nature feels faint and can take no more. But in the meantime I will occupy myself with writing about other things, to then continue with charity. I resume my poor speaking. While my mind was occupied with the things already said, I was thinking to myself, what would be the purpose of writing this, if I myself did not practice what I write? This writing would certainly be my condemnation. While I was thinking of this, blessed Jesus came and told me, this writing will serve to make known who the one is, that speaks to you and occupies your person. And then, if it does not serve you, my light will serve others, who will read what I make you write. Who can say how mortified I was left in thinking that others will take advantage of the graces he gives me, if they read these writings, and I who receive them, do not. Will they not condemn me? And then, at the mere thought that they may end up in the hands of others, my heart aches with pain and with blushing for myself. Now, remaining in greatest affliction, I kept saying, what is the purpose of my state, if it will serve as condemnation? And my most loving Jesus, coming back, told me, my life was necessary for the salvation of the peoples, and since I could not continue it on earth, I choose whom I please in order to continue it within them, so as to continue the salvation of the peoples. This is the purpose of your state. September 22, 1899, Repugnance in Writing. I felt a nail stuck in my heart because of the words spoken yesterday by sweet Jesus, and he, always benign with this miserable sinner, to relieve my pains, came and, all compassion for me, told me, my daughter, do not want to afflict yourself any longer. Know that everything I make you write, either about virtues or in the form of similes, is nothing but making you portray yourself, and the perfection which I made your soul reach. Oh God! What a great repugnance I feel in writing these words, because what he says does not seem true to me. I feel I still don't understand what virtue and perfection is, but obedience wants it so, and it is better to croak than having to deal with her. More so, since she has two faces, if one does as she says, she assumes the appearance of a lady and caresses you like a most faithful friend. Even more, she promises you all the goods that are in heaven and on earth, but then, as soon as she detects a shadow of difficulty against her, immediately, without letting herself be noticed, one goes about looking at her and finds her a warrior in the act of arming his weapons to wound you and destroy you. Oh my Jesus, What kind of a virtue is this obedience, that makes one tremble at the mere thought of her? Then, while Jesus was saying those words to me, I told him, My good Jesus, what good is it for my soul to have so many graces, if then they embitter my whole life, especially because of the hours of your privation? In fact, understanding who you are, and of whom I am being deprived, is a continuous martyrdom for me. So, they serve me for nothing but to make me live continuously embittered. And he added, when a person has tasted the sweetness of a food and then is forced to take the bitter, in order to remove that bitterness he doubles his desire to taste the sweet, and this does much good to that person, because if he always tasted the sweet, without ever tasting bitterness, he would not take the sweet into great consideration. But if he always tasted bitterness, without knowing the sweet, by not knowing it, he would not even desire it. Therefore, both one and the other do good. So it is good for you also. And I, my Jesus, most patient in bearing a soul so miserable and ungrateful, forgive me. It seems to me that this time I want to investigate too much. And Jesus, do not be disturbed, it is I myself who raises these difficulties in your interior, to have the occasion to converse with you, and also to instruct you in everything. September 25, 1899, Luisa, Defender of Jesus and of Creatures. In my mind I was thinking, if these writings ended up in someone's hands, this person may say, she must be a good Christian if the Lord gives her so many graces, not knowing that in spite of all this I am still so bad. Here is how people can deceive themselves, both in good and in evil. Ah, Lord! You alone know the truth and the depth of the hearts. While I was thinking of this, blessed Jesus came and told me, my beloved, and what if people knew that you are my defender and theirs? And I, my Jesus, what are you saying? And he, what? Is it not true that you defend me from the pains that they give me by placing yourself between me and them, and that you take upon yourself the blow that I am about to receive, as well as that which I should pour down upon them? And if sometimes you do not receive it upon yourself, it is because I do not allow it, and this, to your great sorrow, to the point of lamenting to me. Can you perhaps deny it? No, Lord, I cannot deny it, but I see that it is something that you yourself have infused in me. This is why I say that it is not because I am good, and I feel all confused in hearing you speak these words to me. September 26, 1899, Oppositions to Writing. How the Most Holy Virgin is a portent of grace. Abstractive sight and intuitive sight. This morning, as my adorable Jesus came, he carried me outside of myself, but to my greatest sorrow I saw him from behind, and as much as I prayed him to let me see his most holy face, it was impossible. In my interior I kept saying, who knows whether it is because of my oppositions against the obedience to write that he does not deign to show his adorable face. And while saying this, I cried. After he let me cry, he turned around and told me, I take your oppositions into no account, because your will is so identified with mine, that you cannot want but what I myself want. So, though it is repugnant for you, at the same time you feel drawn to do it as by a magnet, therefore, your repugnances serve for nothing else but to render the virtue of obedience more embellished and bright. This is why I ignore them. Afterwards, I looked at his most beautiful face, and in my interior I felt an indescribable contentment, and turning to him, I said, my most sweet love, if I take so much delight in looking at you, what must it have been for our Queen Mama, when you enclosed yourself in her most pure womb? What contentments, how many graces did you not give her? And he, my daughter, the delights and the graces that I poured into her were such and so many, that it is enough to tell you that what I am by nature, our mother became by grace, more so, since she had no sin, and therefore my grace was able to lord freely within her. There is nothing of my being which I did not give to her. At that instant, I seemed to see our Queen Mother as if she were another God, with this difference alone, that in God this is His own nature, while in Mary Most Holy it is acquired grace. Who can say how stupefied I was left, how my mind was lost in seeing the portent of grace so prodigious? So, turning to him, I said, "My dear good, our mother had so much good because you let yourself be seen intuitively. I would like to know, how do you show yourself to me, by abstractive or by intuitive sight? Who knows whether it is even abstractive at all? And I want to make you understand the difference that passes between one and the other. In the abstractive, the soul contemplates God, while in the intuitive she enters into Him and obtains graces, that is, she receives within her the participation in the divine being. How many times have you not participated in my being? That suffering, which seems almost natural in you, that purity by which you reach the point of feeling as if you did not have a body, and many other things, have I not communicated this to you when I have drawn you to myself intuitively? Ah, Lord, it is so true. And what thanks have I rendered you for all this? What has been my correspondence? I feel blushing at the mere thought of it. But, please, forgive me, and let it be known, in heaven and on earth, that I am an object of your infinite mercies.